Yo, and long awaited, and we are so appreciative of you, my guy.
What's going on, guys?
Alex Loosemore, host of Restoring the Roar. First and foremost, I just want to tell you I appreciate you. I know at one point we had a certain slot, but we had to move some things around.
Oh, it's all good.
Just like with Saturdays, you're always receptive, and you just keep professional and keep it coming. So thank you.
Happy to hop on, help out, and I was enjoying sitting back and listening to those guys talk because it's great to hear all the different perspectives and see where everyone's kind of thinking. And I love what everyone was saying, honestly.
The backroom chat was pretty entertaining.
Oh, that was so much
fun. Yo, I love it. All right, hey. You know why we're here. We're talking about Washington. You're on the outside looking in. First and foremost, I'm going to do this because I went to your stadium and I was built an L. So and you see that guy that's right next to me. After the video cuts off, he puts his hand on my back and he's like, "It's gonna be okay. We understand what you're going through, man. It's all right, man."
That day I was gonna talk my smack in the group chat and it started off ugly, so I was just like, I'm just gonna leave it alone. And yeah, that was good day for my guys.
Right. It was a rough day for us. Look, let's get right into the draft. Will, is that we'll go there?
Yeah.
Because hey, for those of you who don't know, my guy here every Saturday and sometimes during the middle of the week, we do Let's Talk College Football. And over the last several weeks, we have been breaking down the draft position by position, giving you our top 5 picks, some of those that are right outside that, and then also our sleepers. And it's been an honor, my guy, to definitely work with you to get down with that. But right off top, 16th pick. We've heard people say they would trade back. We've heard different trade potentially offers. I saw what you said in the group in the back chat with
why not with that one?
And Sweat and a 16th pick to go up to 9 to get Paris. What do you think if you're the GM? What do you think Washington should do? And what would help us the most?
So I mean, Sean, from our conversations, I'm a big offensive and defensive line guy. I love the trenches. And for me, I love what you guys have done this offseason to start off. Like, Andrew Wiley gives you that versatility. He can play guard or tackle. So just kind of based on how you guys attack the draft, he starts either spot. If one of those left tackles is there, or if you trade up for one of them, I think it's an absolute no-brainer. Yeah. Skronsky, Paris Johnson. I would even say Darnell Wright from Tennessee. He's a guy that's flying up the boards. He might not even be there by the time you guys pick. And there's talks of him being the first tackle off the board.
Whoa.
So it's when you get to this point, it's all based on scheme fits. So
makes sense.
For example, like for Chicago with Nick, they run a lot of that outside zone. Paris Johnson's going to fit in perfectly there. There's just certain schemes some of these guys fit better in. But Darnell Wright would be awesome for you guys. And Charles Leno isn't a bad left tackle by any means, but you can definitely do some upgrading there.
Yes.
Wait, Alex. But if we kept him, we would be fine, right? I mean, he was the NFL Man of the Year for Washington.
Yeah, I was like, I don't mind.
Yes.
I don't mind Leno. He had a rough year this year, but the year before he was good.
Sean almost cried on this show because I brought up cutting Leno so that we would be able to save some money. He was like, but he was our Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee.
That's right.
I was like,
culture.
So he's a guy that's been so up and down, so I understand the idea of maybe cut him and give him money.
Serviceable. Yeah.
I mean, that 2021 season, I'd say he was good. Like I'd say he was better than serviceable, but I agree with Abs here. However you say the center's name,
Roulier.
He's a guy that's kind of on the outs. So I would say a third, fourth round, maybe get a center.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you could get either a tackle or Osiris Torrance, for me, leave Wiley at that right tackle, shore up that right guard, and just see what you can get out of Leno. Maybe get a guy later in the draft that could compete with Leno for that starting spot. But I think offensive line should be the way to go to start. And as I saw your comment there, Osiris Torrance ain't making it out of the first round. So I think if you want him, you got to get him at 16.
Yeah.
And I think in the private chat, we were naming some guys. I think corner should be the second round.
Okay.
I think you guys should attack that pretty early. And in the second round, you're still going to get a starting caliber guy. After that, it kind of drops off, in my opinion. And it drops off pretty heavy. And then at 97 there, I think you use that pick and maybe trade up. But I think linebacker. I kind of agree with what you guys were saying earlier.
Okay.
Trade up into the early third round, maybe try and snag a Jack Campbell, Noah Sewell, somewhere in that range, because the linebackers are starting to fall a bit.
Yeah.
Even though I think some of those guys are borderline first round talents, they're going to be there for the majority of day 2. So I wouldn't wait till 97. I would try and use that and jump up personally. But I think offensive line, then corner, then linebacker would be the way I would attack it.
Yeah. I think I would be ecstatic going into Saturday with those 3 positions being addressed. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and then you can look on day 3 going into Saturday, rounds 4 through 7. You can still get a serviceable tight end if you want somebody behind Logan Thomas. And then you can just kind of go best player available after that, shore up some of these other spots. You could go get another quarterback like you guys were talking to kind of be that third guy. Maybe someone like a Max Duggan even. I think he's going to be there late day 3. Jake Hayner is another guy I personally really like. Probably going to be 5th, 6th, 7th round.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a huge get for you guys.
So okay, but let's look there, because as we've seen, I've been talking Sam for all show, and everybody's been giving me their 2 cents and everything. Hendon Hooker has come in and talked with us. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? What do we look at? I mean, we got Jacoby. Obviously, Sam is very green, but do we get?
Yep.
Do we look quarterback? I mean, any early or?
I think if you're going to look quarterback, it's got to be day 3. I think if you go any earlier, you're doing a disservice to Sam Howell and you're wasting that pick from last year. Yeah. I think you got to see what you got in this kid, and you got to know, like, Howell should be tossed out there to start the season. Obviously, you have the competition in training camp to see. Obviously, if he's not that guy, you can find it out in that first month there. But you've got a very good, arguably the best backup in football in Jacoby Brissett. I would throw him up there amongst all the backups and probably take him over all of them. So you've got a guy that can go in and win games if you need him to. But to me, and I understand the sentiment for Ron Rivera, but I don't know that if you're struggling and Sam Howell's out there, I don't know that with that division that Brissett's going to win you many more games than Howell will, just because that division, all 4 teams are so good in your division. So I would ride it out with Howell, see what you got. And then even if they struggle and Rivera ends up losing his job, which I think he's on an extremely short leash, especially with the new owner coming in. Oh, yeah. I think that it's extremely tight. So if you start to struggle, Bieniemy's the head coach in waiting. That's a given. You don't bring this guy in, give him the OC and assistant or associate head coach without him being the next guy in line. So if you struggle this year, you'll be up near the top of the draft in a position where you could go get one of the top guys in 2024.
Right.
And I think that's a great scenario. I think you build the rest of the roster around Howell and possibly Brissett this year. And then if they don't work out, then you jump up to get your quarterback next year.
Right. The only part that I would have to say that I don't know about is, you mentioned we have the best backup in the league. Atlanta's got a pretty good backup now.
Oh my God.
Squad. So.
Heineke is a very good backup.
He is. He's a great backup. Yeah. No. Brissett is a better passer. So I'm going to bring up a scenario that I love that Ab is still in the background comments to think about this. We have this assumption right now that Washington needs a Travis Kelce. All right. They need their own version. what makes us think that Eric Bieniemy wants to run the same offense that Andy Reid did? And what if Eric Bieniemy is looking at this team and saying, I got 3 good wide receivers. That's going to be my focus. And that Logan Thomas doesn't have to be Travis Kelce. It's like this tight end draft is deep, but what if he's looking at our roster saying, this is not what we need. Yeah. I'm going to run my offense differently.
Yeah, and I think realistically, every team needs a serviceable tight end. But yes. and Logan Thomas is serviceable, but for how much longer?
Right.
He's been in the NFL for a long time. And I think I would almost say you guys need a better blocking tight end first.
Yes.
So I would say if you're looking day 3, and it's not just because I'm a Michigan guy, Luke Schoonmaker makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, yes.
Right. He's round 4, round 5, round 6, somewhere in there. But he's a guy that can run the routes, has good hands, but he's a phenomenal blocker too.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if you draft like a Paris Johnson Jr., Peter Skoronski, Darnell Wright, someone like that, where it's a young tackle on the outside, having a blocking tight end does immense help for them. So I love the idea of getting a tight end late, but I wouldn't spend a high pick. Right. I wouldn't. And if you're getting a tight end,
it's
not day 3.
So you're saying don't trade. You're saying don't take Michael Mayer at 16.
Don't take Michael Mayer. Don't take Darnell Washington. Don't take Dalton Kincaid. Luke Musgrave.
You're killing him. You're talking about getting rid of Charles Leno and not drafting a tight end.
Come on, Alex. What's going on, man?
Hey, you said you wanted the outside perspective.
Yeah.
I think you're totally right, because one of the biggest complaints they had about Logan Thomas last year in his recovery from knee surgery was his blocking fell off a cliff. And there were moments when the plays were designed for him to make the block to go around, and he didn't. And he didn't have the strength in the leg that he once did. And so that's kind of where a lot of the talk is. Well, they may be looking to get another tight end, but to Ab's point, we also do have a lot. We've got Cole Turner, who was the hype of training camp and had 2 catches all season. And everyone was so thrilled about what these 2 tight end sets we were going to have. And Carson Wentz has his Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert. And that was a huge stinker, So it's like we do have some guys in there, but there just all seems to be this assumption that because we have Eric Bieniemy, we got to go get a tight end. We got to go shore up that. It's like I don't know. I'm being contrarian, just kind of saying like I don't know if we need to.
Yeah, I don't think you guys necessarily need to. My thing is if you're just going best player available, mid to late day 3.
Yeah,
and the tight end's up there. A little competition never hurt nobody, right?
No, absolutely not.
But tight end doesn't need to be up at the top of the needs.
The other thing to think about it can be when we talked with Ab, he mentioned the people who are coming up the following year for free agency. And if you were to draft a tight end, say 3rd round, 4th round, someone that can compete with him, you have the ability to cut Logan Thomas then and put that towards extending Cam Curl in the offseason. Yep. You have the ability to draft a center, get Joe Tittman from Wisconsin. We got to get us someone from Wisconsin, for God's sakes. I say it every single year. And if you draft a replaceable center for Chase Roulier that can compete with Nick Gates in there, you have the ability to cut Chase Roulier, and you have money that you could repurpose back into the roster in another way.
Absolutely.
So, I think some of this stuff, and I brought up a great point in saying like we made some early moves in free agency, then silence. Because I think when there's a new ownership change, you can kind of start to see some of these other deals that there's going to be moves after the draft. We're probably going to cut players because we need to make some moves to get some cap space. But then you could also start filling in some of these guys. I mean, heck, it'd be expensive, but they could also say, Montez, we want to throw the boat at you. Here we go. We're going to extend you. And here's how we freed up some cash to do it.
Now, here's the thing with that, too, is when you do these extensions, I mean, we've seen the Rams and the Bucks and all these teams do it. You can give them these heavy extensions, especially with new owners coming in. If they want to spend that money, you can give those massive extensions where it doesn't actually cost that much against the cap.
Right.
Where the owners just shell out the money early. And then for Montez, if you gave them, say, something close to Deron paying that 4 years, $90 million, and you have like 75 mil of it guaranteed, then that gets spread out evenly over the 4 years, but then it's still a way lower cap hit than what it should be.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I think I saw that even with Jalen Hurts, like next year, he's still not costing them much. It's not until it's heavily backloaded.
Yeah,
which
well, and
I would just like to point out.
Deal too.
Oh, okay. So it goes after, you mean? But okay.
Yeah, so it's really a 6-year contract.
Okay, that makes sense.
Oh, wow, okay.
The backloaded contracts is the Dan Snyder, Vinny Serrato way of eluding the salary cap. If there's one thing that they did well, was they signed Albert Hainsworth to $100 million contract, and by the time he was gone, they'd only paid him about 30 because everything else was going to be in years 4 and 5 when they're like, he's not going to be on the roster.
Yeah, the show is going to ride when we're saying positive. Look, the show is going to ride when we're saying positive things about Dan Snyder. All right,
and Albert Hainsworth.
And Albert Hainsworth. But look, so you talked about it. We talked about it in the private chat about potentially, moving on from Montez Sweat. Okay, which would leave a hole at edge. We've discussed it. You and me have discussed it in length. The number of guys that are coming out at that position. If we were to make that move, hypothetically, how early then do you think we should value an edge guy? Do we get him at 16? Or, say we don't trade up or anything like that. Do we get him at 16 or wait till second, third? Or
if you move on from Sweat, it's edge at 16. I really do think that. And I think someone like Miles Murphy is there that can fill that void.
Oh, wow, okay.
But yeah, if you move on from Sweat, which I would not do.
Yeah.
I love what Montez Sweat brings to the table. I would say, at least in my opinion, he should almost be more untouchable than Chase Young.
Ooh, okay.
I like him that much. So I would not move Montez Sweat. But yeah, if you move on from him, you got to address that as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay. I like that. I have a love for a certain team. Now, obviously, my guy Diami, he's on that super hot seat, so we don't know if that's going to work. But there's another guy that might, drop to second. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think he'll drop down to third as one of the best slot guys.
No, he's not.
Out of North Carolina. You know who I'm talking about.
Yep.
Josh Downs. Obviously, Diami, things haven't worked out yet for him. I'm still being optimistic. Yep. But you have Sam here who has worked with these guys. Do you potentially get him maybe in the second round if he's there, or trade back and if we trade back into the first, get him in the first?
I see Will shaking his head here.
Golly.
So where does he fit? That's my only question. He's not taking one of the top 3 guys off the field. He's not. So
Sean's trying to use a first round pick on a number 4 wide receiver.
Hey,
no, that ain't happening.
Move up to 3.
Unless in that trade to move up, first of all, you wouldn't move up for him. Sorry, he'll be there in the 20s. But if you wanted to take him, you could trade second round pick and one of those like Curtis Samuel. But again, I think you're going against what you need to do.
Yeah,
right.
You're replacing something you already had. You should fill the holes that are currently there.
The most fun training camp story, Sean, is if for wide receiver number 4, it's De'Ami Brown battling Raheem Jarrett. That would be the most fun that would be.
Why? Good gracious. Yeah. Speaking of that, we talked about corners. Your guy Will is rising up the list. Who?
Deontay Banks.
Yeah, Deontay Banks. What do you think? Corners, we've looked at that as potentially first or second round.
Yeah.
Do we make that move there? Would that be a solid pickup that early? I know he's been rising up in the list, but is he one of the top 4 or 5 guys?
He's a guy I'd absolutely consider at 16. So if those offensive linemen are gone, I think you look at Devon Witherspoon is obviously in play. I hope he's not there by the time you guys pick.
Right.
I'd love for us to take him. I think Christian Gonzalez, Joey Porter Jr., Cam Smith, Keely Ringo, and Deontay Banks should all be in play. I think all those guys. I think there's 6 first-round corners, and then I think you've got like Brian Branch and Antonio Johnson, those guys that are safety / corner.
Mm-hmm.
I think Branch is a bona fide first rounder. Johnson can slide his way in, but to me, and I don't think Brian Branch would be bad for you guys either because he gives you that versatility.
Yeah,
especially Will, you were talking about extending Cam Curl. If you guys can't do that, then at least you'd have Branch kind of fill in. And if you do sign him, then Branch can go right into that slot corner and kind of lock that down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay.
Who would you say is your biggest sleeper, not just for Washington, just in general, day 3, that you're expecting that if someone go gets him, you're going to be like, that is a great pick?
For me, it's a guy I already mentioned. It's Jake Haener. This is a guy that I love what he did at Fresno State. He killed it at the Senior Bowl. All the talk during the practices was, oh my God, dug in this, dug in that, dug in this. And then it came to the game, and Jake Haener just popped off. He's killed it all offseason.
Yeah.
To me, realistically, I would have thought he'd work his way into a day 2 pick, but it still seems like he's kind of sitting there late day 3, so I think he's an absolute steal.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Let me ask you this. And this is maybe a little bit of a curveball. One of the positions that we've been lacking as of late has been a return man. 2 years ago, we had DeAndre Carter, and he was able to get returned, and he worked that into getting himself a deal with the Chargers. And he's a free agent, I believe. I don't know if he's been signed by the Chargers right now, but we definitely need that. But you're not going to find very many guys that are just return guys. So when do we go get that, and who would be somebody? Do we get it as a running back turn that can help it return, or do we get it as one of these smaller slot guys that maybe had some return in them?
To me personally, if you're going a guy strictly for kick returner, it's day 3. To me, special teams guy, if you're strictly special teams, you're day 3.
Yeah.
I've always preferred a running back for a kick returner, just because, you played running back. Running backs have a better ability to see the gap where it's going to open up, even if it's not already open. So me personally, especially with a kick return, you're running before you even know what's opening. So I've always loved the idea of a running back there. As for who, if he slipped to day 3 to get a Devon A-Chain from Texas A&M, that guy can fly.
Yeah, he's got speed on for days.
Keaton Mitchell's another one. I just saw in the private chat.
Out of East Carolina.
He would be awesome to get too. Yeah. Me personally, I've always liked the running backs as kick returners.
Yeah. What about Deuce? Deuce Vaughn out of I know he's tiny, but
that almost works better because especially if you got guys blocking in front of him, it's hard to see. If you're getting him for just a returner, as long as they can hold on to the ball and they can run, I love Deuce Vaughn, and it would give you a little bit more versatility in that running back room. He's one where I don't really know if he's a day 2 or day 3 guy. He might go late day 2, so let's see how that goes. But
where do you think Spears is going from Tulane?
Oh, I think just with so many running backs, I think he's round 4, round 5, somewhere in there.
Whoa.
Because you look at it, round 1 is Bijan. Round 2, you've probably got, Jahmyr Gibbs is a lock for second round. I'd say Zach Charbonnet has locked himself into the second round. But then at that point, everyone else is kind of up in the air still.
Yeah.
So from late round 2 to round 4, 5, 6 even, you're going to get a stud running back in this draft. At least a stud at the college level. How they transition the NFL is a different story.
Yeah.
But, I saw in the private chat there. Jahmyr, I think they make a mistake if they're going running back. I really do.
They love Pacheco.
Yeah, and Pacheco did so well, and you lost so much on that offensive line. I'm not one that really has faith in the kid from Jacksonville that they brought in. I can't think of his name right now, but they paid him all that money to be a left tackle, and I really like the move. Oh, Juwan Taylor.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I think Kansas City's making a mistake if they go Jameer at 31. I mean, he's an awesome player, but they got bigger needs.
Absolutely. Man, oh man. Alex, I'm going to ask you this. We talked about, I've asked everybody about the quarterback. Yes, Herndon Hooker. I like to call him Herndon Hooker because his name is one letter off of where Will and I and Ab kind of grew up, went to school. You know,
Okay.
Love what he brings to the table. You said Jake Hayner as well. Is that even a thought? Like, do we wait till next year? Like, I love your idea. So I don't know if this is even a question, because I love your idea of let's build up the line, build up the pieces around, see what you got in the quarterbacks you have. And then if it doesn't work out and you're at that same position or higher next year, we've got Hartman, we've got Caleb Will, we got a couple of these guys that it would be worth it.
You didn't even mention your guy there, Drake May.
I'm
Spencer Rattler.
We gotta
come on now.
So he's a guy. If he has a really good year, he could
jump back up to the first round. He does.
We already know he's going to lose game one. He's going to get stomped, and then he's probably going to get benched. So
yeah,
wow,
yeah. It's not going to be a QB duel.
When it comes to this quarterback conversation with Washington, I'm going to stir the pot a little. What if the new owner comes in and they've got their eyes on a certain Lamar Jackson? We know that you guys were out on it before. Yeah. But what if this owner comes in and says, I want this guy? You guys are in a position where if you went all in for Lamar Jackson, you guys are going to be just fine. Like, you guys will be, absolutely. You guys are a team that's relatively a quarterback away, in my opinion. It's one of the few teams where if you get a solid quarterback, it pushes you into legitimate contenders like that. So that's something I would keep an eye on personally.
With what cap money, though?
Like I said, with the Sweat extension thing, the owner pays a bunch of it out of pocket.
Yeah.
And you get those new owners coming in.
Yeah, because he's still, but even with that type of deal, he's going to have a pretty expensive salary cap. I see what you're like. It's not going to be 50, 60 million a year, but it's like, I mean, they're already 2 million over right now. So like they have to cut some people to sign the rookies. So that's where it's you're not wrong with like, how do you make a big splash? But it's also just like, how logistically can they get to where they would need to be?
Ab just said it. You trade someone like a Chase Young or somebody that's going to have a high cap hit with the draft picks. Therefore, you have less money that you have to save towards the draft picks, and that like you'd probably trade at least first and second this year and probably next year, very similar to like the Russell Wilson trade, the Deshaun Watson trade, somewhere in there. Right. So you're giving up a bunch of picks, and then you give up a player or two to make the money work.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I like that. We shall see. I'm interested to see.
That would be extremely exciting come week one. My gosh.
Well, and especially if the original group that was said to have bought them gets it, you've got the guy that's running the Sixers. You've got Magic Johnson. You've got a lot of guys that I'm sure would be willing to throw money at a quarterback.
Yeah, star power for sure. And it's not that far. It's right down 95.
Yeah.
So we shall see. Will, you got any more questions for our guy?
I'm good. This was a blast.
Yes.
Oh, it's so much fun.
Absolutely. Alex, again, we appreciate you sticking on here in the back for a while. And I was messaging you saying, I'm sorry, but we're going to push it back. And you were just like, hey, we're good. All right. I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you guys having me on. This was a lot of fun. Love having the discussion and seeing what everyone else had to say too. I absolutely love this.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's so close. It's so close.
Right around the corner.
And it's we're saying that, but it's gonna feel like we wake up tomorrow and it's draft day. Like, it's gonna come so quick, even though it's came this quick. Like,
right.
And I can't wait. And then we could folks start looking towards the off season and then training camp, OTAs, and all that, but also spring games.
Yes,
some of us looked pretty good. some of us look pretty good. That's all I'm going to say. Alex, we appreciate you coming on here. Yo, Alex, tell the people, where can we find you, man? I know you got shows the next 3 days, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, right.
Yeah, next 3 days, and then every day but Monday next week. So,
Yes.
you can catch me typically Thursday nights on the NFL edition with Johnny Ben. Sometimes Sean, sometimes Nick, sometimes Anthony, just whoever wants to come on. It's kind of open platform. Talk a bunch of football, do some trivia, that kind of stuff. Friday nights with Andrew and Sid and Chris and Kyle for North Sports Dynasty. This week we are doing our mock drafts and Jeopardy. Since I think we're supposed to have everyone, we're going to do round 2 of Jeopardy.
Nice.
Saturdays, me and Mr. Sean Spencer for Let's Talk College Football.
Mm-hmm.
And Tuesdays, when I got enough to talk about, I do Restoring the Roar on North Sports Dynasty.
Yes.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Yo, and actually, I will finally get a chance to get out. I will be traveling. I will be at your head. I'll be in your neck of the woods in Michigan this weekend. Going to visit some of Kat's friends and the family of, people that have passed on, but we're going to go celebrate and be over there with her. So Saturday morning,
so you driving?
I'll be, oh yeah, I'm driving. She's like, oh, I can sleep in the car. I was like, what? No, how are you going to keep me awake? Hold on.
Yeah.
You can leave at 2 a.m. No, I'm not. No, I want to sleep too. Come on now.
Yes,
we will be driving. Yes. So I will try to go out and see if I can walk around and go live from the big house. Don't know if I'll be able to do that, but Katie will be there. Who knows? She's got the inside scoop on the big house. So we shall see. Alex, like I said before, we appreciate you coming on here, speaking with us. Don't appreciate that butt whooping you gave us last year, but we see you in the playoffs.
I wasn't even going to bring that up. I was leaving that alone. I hope we see you guys in the playoffs this year. I really do.
Yeah, me too. Both of us. I think that would be great. I think that would be absolutely great. So, hey, Alex, until next time, definitely see you again, my friend.
Thanks,
you, buddy. Yes, sir.
Thanks for watching. If you like that clip, be sure to check out the other great content from the Let's Talk Football community. And as always, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when more great content like this becomes available.